Hello, it's me, and I'm going to visit the most platonic of solids, the dodecahedrons, specifically the Megaminx series. So we've got the 2-layer Kilominx, we've got the 3-layer Megaminx, we've got the 4-layer Master Kilominx, the 5-layer Gigaminx, the 6-layer version of it, the Elite Kilominx, and then of course we've got the Teraminx and the Petaminx. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to actually do something that I haven't done or shown before, which is the layer by layer solve. So I figured the one that I'm going to do, and actually I'm doing this because a viewer had a request for it, is I'm going to pull out this guy over here, and that's the Teraminx. I'm going to do that for a couple of reasons. Number one, Shengshou just came out with a new version of it, which is this guy over here, and this is the Shengshou version of the Gigaminx, and it's flat. I really like flattened puzzles. I tolerate pillowed puzzles if I have to, if this is a pillowed version. This is actually not the mass-produced Petaminx. This is the original prototype, or among one of the original prototypes. This is three-dimensionally printed, still holds up very, very well. So yeah, this was before it was mass-produced, but you can see it's pillowed. It looks more like a ball than an actual 12-sided puzzle. So for the purity of the platonic solids, I really do like the flattened version. Plus, it is one of the most incredibly smooth-moving puzzles that I have. So I thought I'd showcase this for a couple of reasons. Number one, a viewer requested specifically the Teraminx, and number two, it's a new version that you might want to check out. So I'll be doing the movement with it, just kind of showing that. So I'm going to take this out now. In terms of doing a layer by layer, you may ask, why the Teraminx? Well, for a couple of reasons. First off, I could do the Gigaminx. This is the MF8 version, moves pretty well. I could do that, but I wouldn't be getting the entire process because there's, of course, layers that are missing. Here, we've got enough layers to really have a nice challenging solve. It's pretty challenging too, but by excluding a layer, I don't have as much strategy. In terms of doing the Petaminx, I could do a layer by layer, and I probably will at some point, but I figure a lot of people probably don't have the Petaminx because, well, it's much more expensive. This one is not as expensive, so I figure most of you guys probably have this. Certainly more have this than this. So if you wanted to try this yourself, that's something that you can do. And of course, you can try it with the Gigaminx as well, but it might not be quite as much of a challenge with this guy over here. Now, by other way of introduction, a lot of people don't like to get large puzzles. I'm a big fan. No matter how large they make the puzzles, how many layers, I'm always going to get it because there's something about the marvel of ingenuity with it. However, there's a little dilemma that we get into. So you'll find that you'll solve it, and you'll be happy that you solved it. Then it sits on a shelf and it stays there. So you have a little bit of a dilemma. What do you do with a puzzle that the process of solving it isn't really much different than the process of solving the smaller order versions of it? It just takes longer. And indeed, the solve process, by doing the same reductive process, just kind of gets, well, cumbersome after a while. That if you scramble it after not solving it for many months, you get through the first layer, you get through the first center reduction, the second center. By the third center reduction, you're pretty much ready to be done with the whole process because it's not really that much more of a challenge. It's just the process of putting it together, getting all the centers reduced, and just when you're done with that, you got to get the edges reduced. That takes a while, and then finally you get to the solve. And there isn't much of a challenge that comes from that, especially in a puzzle that doesn't have any issues with parity. Even if you did do versions, higher order versions that had parity, well, you kind of know how to work your way through it anyway. By the way, this is also the non-mass produced three-dimensionally printed version of it. Again, still holds up pretty well. So what do you do about a puzzle that is fascinating and you like to have it in your collection, you like to look at it there, but you just don't want to solve it that much anymore because it's kind of an annoying solve after a while. It becomes cumbersome. Well, the way that you do it is you take it and you solve it in a different way. Solve it in a way that hasn't been done before, that's actually more challenging and more fun. It's probably not a faster solve, but it does make it more challenging and kind of gives it a little bit more spice. So the way that I like to do that is by way of a layer by layer solve. So I encourage you, to those who have this or are thinking of buying it but decide, you know, the solve experience is not much greater than this, it's just more cumbersome, so I do it. I highly encourage buying it because the layer by layer solve is a fairly different experience than the rest and a fairly different challenge, and it just doesn't go through the same rigmarole. You actually have to kind of strategize and think your way through it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a layer by layer solve with this so that you can follow along, or that you can try yourself and reference this should you have any problem, or just watch it and see the magic unfold. So what I'm going to do first is scramble it. Now, if you're thinking of buying this, this will be a good way of just kind of showing the movement of the puzzle. It does come fairly well lubricated, sometimes too well lubricated. very oily. But I have to say, this is among the smoothest moving puzzles that I have. This is the archetypic thing that we hope for with mass-produced puzzles. With prototype three-dimensionally printed puzzles, sometimes the movement isn't that great. You tolerate it. It can get a little clunky. But this is exactly what you want your 3D puzzles to eventually look like or feel like. Just very smooth moving. So you don't get any lockups. You don't have to struggle with the movement. So I got to say, Shengshou really did a great job in their iteration of this. The fact that it's not pillowed and the fact that it's smooth moving, comes lubricated, is right up my alley. So you can see how smooth moving this puzzle is. Just a lot of fun to move around. So I'm going to continue to scramble this and come back at you when it's done. Okay, there it is. A nice and impressive looking scrambled Teraminx. So when doing a layer by layer, what I enjoy about this is that you don't have to do a reduction about the entire puzzle, which, like I say, the first side may be fun, even the second, but by the time you get to that third center, you're ready to be done and you wish you would just have it solved, and you're only doing it because you have an obsessive type personality. Anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to first solve this layer. Now we have to define what are our layers. So I guess I might as well go through that now. I'm going to start off with the green. So this is obviously going to be our first layer over here. This will be our second layer over here. And this will be our third layer over here. So it's much like what you'd find with a cube. Now the next layer I'm going to define as this. So it's going to be all the pieces just above the third layer. And it's going to be a layer that does not move contiguously. So this is going to be the next layer. So that's going to be the third layer. I'm sorry, the fourth layer. The fifth layer is going to run this jagged area course over here. That's the fifth layer. Sixth layer will run this jagged layer here. Seventh over here. Then eighth is going to be here. Ninth is going to be here. 10th is going to be here. 11th over here. 12th over here, and 13th over here. So we're really going to have 13 layers to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So though this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, this is a 7-layer puzzle on each side, it's actually 13 solvable layers. Some are contiguous, some are not. So the first step is pretty simple. This is the most classic way of doing it. We're just going to reduce the center here. So reduction of the center is pretty easy. To those who haven't done a Teraminx before, this is, well, how you can do it in a reductive way. I'm going to take this and I'm going to put these guys in here. So this is the only time you have to hunt around, but it shouldn't be too hard because there's a lot of equivalencies of layers. So I'm matching these two up over here and just putting that in. So that's in over here. What I want to do is match these two here and these guys over here. So what that entails is putting these edge centers. So there's these corner centers and edge centers. So I'm going to line up some edge centers here. Okay, I'm going to put this over here. And now I want to put these guys in as well. So try to make this as quick as I can. So you can see these are here. I just have to move one into here. And again, it shouldn't be too hard to find pieces because, well, it's just the first center. Okay, moving this around. This guy, well, no, I have to find one to come into here. No, I don't have to be exact about it. Okay. Okay, so this piece will come into here. So I'm going to bump this out of the way. Move this up. Now you can do all the centers like this if that's what you should decide to do. Alright, so I've got these in. The reason why I did that is because I'm going to line it up into here. Right, Jen?
Right.
Right. So this will all come here. Bang. So you can see that this is all contiguous. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pre-assemble these center edge pieces and these center corner pieces. I'm going to call it that because that's going to be important later on. Center edge, center corner. So I can pre-assemble those and put that in. So I've got one outer one here. And again, this is all part of the same layer. And move this into here. And it doesn't matter if I put it here or here. So I'm going to start pre-assembling these. So I've got this in over here, put some in the next layer down here. I'll just move this into this position just to hold the position. And now second layer one. Here's a second layer over here. And here's the second layer over here. Let's see if they match up. And these match up over here. And these guys can come into over here. Let's see, how am I going to do that? Well, let's bump these out of the way. Move this down. And now I'm going to match these guys here. Now you can do this any way you want. This is just how I like to do it. So these four are in. I'm going to match it up with this guy here. Once I do that, I can now take this set, move it into here. Now I'm moving kind of fast with this, but again, this is just center reduction. You can do this any way you want. And bang. So now I've got all of these guys in. I'm going to pre-assemble this piece, and these four as well. This is done pretty intuitively. This comes into here, pre-assembling. So I've got these two. I've got these two here. I just need to find some bottom greens. Here's a bottom green over here. Yeah, so that'll match with this. I got to find a green that I can put into this space. And I think maybe it's this one. Yep. Nope. Right over here. Okay. So this will match up with this guy one way or the other. And splat. Okay. So this is how I try to very quickly get this part done with. It's only fun if the movement of the puzzle is smooth, which it is, so that's good. Okay, so I'm going to match it into here. So now I've got these in. I've just got to get these guys in over here. So what that entails is really just pre-assembling the rest. So for instance, I see this. Let's see if I can match it in with something like this. And this will come here. So these two are, well, they're not matched up. So I'm just taking every opportunity. So this is matched up over here. So now I have one more of these little ones to go. I just have to find it. Right here. And I'm matching this guy to here. So I'm going to match these two here to these here. And again, you don't have to do it this way. I just find it goes a little faster for me. So these four are matched up. Got to match, yep, right over here. And this will scoot into here. Okay, with that done, I'm going to take this, move this into here. And now I've got to match these guys up and splat. Nope. Boom. Okay, so these two are matched up. And these two are matched up. So let's simply join them together. Now that I have that, we'll match it into here. Okay, so this whole thing is lined up. And now I can go like clunk. There, so this center is reduced, and I'm happy to say that this is the last center that I have to reduce like this. Wasn't that hard, but wasn't that fun either. So now I'm gonna just reduce edges, and it's only these 5 edges that I have to reduce. Again, it's not that hard, it's just a matter of assembling. So I'm gonna start off with this, so green and beige. And here's the green and red as well, but we'll continue with the green and beige. And splat. Okay, so here's the first green and beige. Now I'm just going to do the rest. Here's another green and beige here. Move it in like thus, and move this in like so. Okay, now be careful as you're doing that you're not taking your one and only center out. Okay, I need 2 more green and beiges. Right over here, here's one that I can use. Wheel it all the way around. It's going to come here and splat One more green and beige, and it's going to be about the center. So I'm just going to focus my attention to here. Find a place that it belongs, which appears to be here, and then wrap it in. Okay, so first edge is reduced, bring it into here, and then pop that into here. Okay, the next green that we'll do, I'm just going to find a center. How about green and purple? That'll take to the eye pretty well. Easy to find. Here's a green and purple here, so I just pop that into there. So we've got this. Another green and purple is here. Let's see how lucky we can get with how many we just find coming into position. Another green and purple, splat. So that's into here. If this were Gigaminx, it'd be reduced already. Another green and purple, right over here. Put this in here and clunk. One more green and purple. See, it's nice when it takes to the eye pretty well. You can see it pretty easily. Here it is, green and purple. See, told you right in front of me and I just didn't notice it. Move this into here, green and purple comes actually into here. Now green and purple comes up, boom. Okay, so that's reduced. Let's line it up with a purple side. Bang, okay. So next we do another green and whatever. So how about green and red? That should be fairly easy to see. Let's put this closer in the field of vision here. Okay, here's a green and red right here. Got to turn this around. Move this to here. Oop. Now it's upside down. And bring it in. Bring this back. Okay, more greens and reds. Move it into here and splat. Another green and red. Right at my fingertips. Move it around, so I'm lining it up, just a matter of doing it intuitively. And now another green and red here. See if I can easily find it, quickly find it. That's the other aspect of these large cubes is finding, but you're going to see with the layer by layer solve, there's going to be a lot less hunting around. Right now you see me doing a lot of hunting around for pieces. That's inevitable. Does not increase the challenge of the puzzle, just the cumbersome aspect of it. Okay, okay, this is moved in. Got to be sure to move this back. Okay, so slowly but surely we're getting there. And this comes down here. Okay, so this one is done. I just have to move this in. Okay, one more reduction. Okay, right here, right in front of me. So, wind this into position. Just like this. And bring it up. Okay, so finally, we've reached the point I was hoping for, where we've done the last of our actual reductions. Now you can continue this with the rest of the puzzle, but it does get old after a while. So now I'm going to put the corners in, and that will be our first layer. So green and red and white, so that's this. And this is just doing RIDI-RD, rolling it in as best we can. So this is in green, purple, and blue, which is over here. We roll this in. Green, purple, and white. It's amazing that such a complicated and large puzzle can be so smooth moving, and believe me, I would not want to do this if it wasn't. Just too cumbersome. Okay, so that's in. Now we roll this guy in. And finally our last screen, which is here. Okay, and just like that, we have our first layer. First of many. So we've got that.